I'm joined now by a veteran of a similar case. Well after OJ's, but before the feds came for Diddy, Nadia Shihata was the federal prosecutor for one of two cases that put R. Kelly, where he is, in prison tonight. Nadia, good to have you back. 4 years. Reaction?
You know, I'm not surprised by the sentence. I think it's a fair sentence, given that he wasn't convicted of the most serious charges. Certainly more than what the defense was expecting, but I actually think it was a good day for the defense ultimately.
What do you think about that video? Because I'm hearing a lot of people who thought it was appalling and others who thought, well, that's who he is.
I mean, it felt a little like a campaign video of sorts. I'm not sure it was a good move for a federal sentencing proceeding. It could have backfired. Very slickly produced, as you noted. And it kind of showed us the Diddy we thought we knew before this case all started. So that juxtaposition between what we saw in the video and what the judge heard in a 6-week trial, I'm not sure it was helpful to his sentencing appeal.
Normally, I look down and I quote verbatim when I quote somebody, especially a federal judge, but I can't do that right now because I can't say some of the words that the federal judge said today. And I was super astounded, and I wanted to run that past you. Judge Subramanian said, basically, quote, you put a pill in Jane's mouth and you told her to get out there and suck this, and if not, F that, and I don't care. And I just sort of wondered, is that normal in federal court to hear a judge say those things?
It's not normal, but this is not a normal case. And that's, you know, what the evidence presented at trial showed. So it's not crazy that he would, you know, make that point, particularly in giving the reasoning behind his sentencing, but certainly unusual to hear that kind of language in a federal court.
So one thing I do want to ask you about, and that is procedure here. And I don't want to get boring, so I'll just use lay people's terms. Correct me if I make mistakes. But basically, at the beginning of the hearing, the judge effectively said that he was going to use all of the evidence that was shown at trial. When he decided, you know, the time of, you know, the sentencing, the amount of sentencing he was going to hand over to Diddy. And that included a lot of the evidence that didn't lead to a conviction. Is it all fair in love and war when it comes to a big trial where the charges are all in one proceeding?
It is. Judges have immense discretion in federal sentencing procedures to take into account all relevant conduct, whether that has to do with the history and characteristics of the defendant or the totality of not only the offense conduct, but even uncharged conduct and acquitted conduct, which the judge did take some account of here. Certainly it factored into his decision-making. He found that the sexual acts were not just a matter between two consenting adults, that this involved coercion, that there was physical violence, that there was blackmail with the threats to release videos. And that's all fair game under the law as it stands right now. Judges can and do regularly consider the totality, including acquitted conduct.
So this is Mark Agnifilo outside the courthouse today, and that's Diddy's attorney. Let's play that.
There was no sex trafficking. There was no racketeering. Everything was consensual. Everything was adult, which is why he was convicted only of the prostitution offense. What we feel happened today was that the judge acted as a 13th juror, one that we did not choose, and that he second-guessed the jury's verdict.
So basically, Nadia, two questions in one. Is there some ground here for appealing, and how much time do you think Diddy's really going to serve?
So look, I expect them to appeal. Any good defense attorney would, but I think they are going to be hard-pressed to be successful on appeal. At the end of the day, the judge gave a below-guideline sentence. It's going to be very hard to argue that that was unreasonable. And whether the defense wants to call him the 13th juror or not, the law permits the judge to take into account all of the conduct that he did. There's nothing improper about that. So I don't think they're going to be successful on appeal ultimately. As far as the time he's ultimately going to do, as you mentioned, he's going to get credit for good time, assuming he behaves himself in jail. He's also potentially eligible for some further reductions under the First Step Act if he participates successfully in various programs while in prison. So that's why I think it was ultimately a good day for the defense. He's probably going to serve, you know, 2 years, maybe even less than that. And given what he
Wow.
was facing at the beginning of this, which was life in prison, that is a good outcome for Diddy.
He's lucky. Nadia Shihata, thank you so much for this. Really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our NewsNation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.